Börek, also burek and other variants, is a family of baked filled pastries made of a thin flaky dough known as phyllo, or yufka, found in the cuisines of the former Ottoman Empire. A börek may be prepared in a large pan and cut into portions after baking, or as individual pastries. The top of the börek is often sprinkled with sesame seeds. It may have been invented in what is now modern Turkey, in the Anatolian provinces of the Ottoman Empire in its early era, to become a popular element of Ottoman cuisine, or it may date back to the ancient Roman cuisine of the region. Cf. Baklava. Börek may have its origins in Turkish cuisine and may be one of its most significant and, in fact, ancient elements of the Turkish cuisine, having been developed by the Turks of Central Asia before their westward migration to Anatolia. A competing theory is that it is the same as the local Byzantine dish plakountas tetyromenous, itself a descendant of placenta, the ancient baked layered dough and cheese dish of Roman times. Börek in Turkish language refers to any dish made with yufka. The name comes from the Turkic root ber to twist, similar to Serbian word savajuka, from savajati, saviti, to twist, which also describes a layered dough dish. The tatar boreks, is a cheese and the mint-filled alternative name for the dumpling-like dish called mant, which very much resemble tortellini. Distribution and variants. Börek is very popular in the cuisines of the former Ottoman Empire, especially in North Africa and throughout the Balkans. The southern Slavic cuisines also feature derivatives of the börek. Börek is also part of Mizrahi and Sephardic Jewish traditions. They have been enthusiastically adopted by the Ottoman Jewish communities, and have been described, along with boyos de pan and bulmers, as forming the trio of preeminent Ottoman Jewish pastries. Turkey enjoys a wide variety of regional variations of börek among the different cultures and ethnicities composing it, including Suburi water börek is one of the most common types. Layers of dough are boiled briefly in large pans, then a mixture of feta cheese, parsley and oil is scattered between the layers. The whole thing is brushed with butter and laid in a masonry oven to cook. Sigara börek, cigarette börek or kalem börek, pen börek, a smaller, cylindrical variety is often filled with feta cheese, potato, parsley and sometimes with minced meat or sausage. A variety of vegetables, herbs and spices are used in böreks, such as spinach, nettle, leek, and courgette, and usually ground black pepper. The name kalem börek was adopted in September 2011 by some Turkish pastry organizations in order to avoid alluding to smoking. Pasanga börek is a traditional Sephardic Jewish specialty of Istanbul filled with pastma or kasar, and julienne green peppers fried in olive oil and eaten as a meze. Saray börek, palace börek is a layered börek where fresh butter is rolled between each of the dough sheets. Tilas börek or nems börek, sawdust or Austrian börek, is a small square börek mostly filled with lamb cubes and green peas, that is starchy yufka sheets, making it puffy and crispy. Kol börek, arm börek is prepared in long rolls, either rounded or lined, and filled with either minced meat, feta cheese, spinach or potato and baked at a low temperature. Saya börek is a smaller and a little fattier version of the kol börek, named after Saya, a district of Istanbul. Gul börek, rose börek, also known as yuvarlak börek, round or spiral börek, are rolled into small spirals and have a spicier filling than other börek. Sig börek or sabrek, raw börek is a half-round shaped börek, filled with raw minced meat and fried in oil on the concave side of the sack, very popular in places with a thriving Tatar community, such as Eskişehir, Polatlı and Konya. Tabrek is another Tatar variety, similar to a sig börek, but baked either on the convex side of the sack, or in a masonry oven instead of being fried in oil. Laz börek, a specialty of the Rize region, is a sweet version, filled with muhalbi, Ottoman-style milk pudding or custard, and served sprinkled with powdered sugar. It's similar with Greek bougatsa. Kurt börek is similar to laz börek, without the custard filling. It is also called sard, plain, börek, and served with fine powdered sugar. Most of the time, the word börek is accompanied in Turkish by a descriptive word referring to the shape, ingredients of the pastry, for the cooking methods or a specific region where it is typically prepared, as in the above kol börek, su börek, Tillasbury or Sayaburi, Albanian börek or lacquer triangular börek in Albania. In Albania, this dish is called börek, burek, or lacra. The most common fillings include cheese, especially cheese, salted curd cheese, ground meat and onions, ragu-style filling, which is sometimes called mesnik in the south, spinach and eggs, milk and eggs with pre-baked dough layers, but it can also be made with tomato and onions, peppers and beans, potato or a sweet filling of pumpkin, nettles, known as börek mihithra, etc. Lacra generally would have a filling of greens, laka being an Albanian word for cabbage but in this context an abbreviation of lakarija, a term which describes a family of green leaf vegetables that is sorrel, dandelion, scarole, katsia, etc. Börek is traditionally made with several layers of dough that have been thinly rolled out by hand. The final form can be small, individual triangles, especially from street vendors called byrtor which sell börek and other traditional pastries and drinks. It can also be made as one large börek that is cut into smaller pieces. Börek is traditional to southern Albania but is made throughout the country with variations. They can be served cold or hot. Eastern Arab börek. Arab börek is often stuffed with minced or diced lamb or beef, or a mixture of the two. Various herbs and spices are used to flavor the meat, including turmeric, fresh parsley and nutmeg, and concentrated pomegranate juice, which gives the mixture a unique sweet and tangy taste. Fried or caramelized onions are usually added to the meat, as well as the traditional Arab staple of fried almonds and sultanas or raisins. Traditional Arab cheeses, including jiban baladi and jiban Arab, are often used instead of, or together with the meat. The mixture is wrapped in a sheet of dough, and then fried or deep-fried until crisp, and resembles a large egg roll. While most burek are made with phyllo, some traditional cooks and those in the tribal areas prefer a hand-kneaded dough. Arab burek are most often served with other dry foods including kibbeh, with a jajik dip, yogurt, cucumber and garlic dip, forming an integral part of a traditional meze meal. Armenian börek. In Armenia, börek, or burek, consists of dough, or phyllo dough, folded into triangles and stuffed with cheese, spinach or ground beef, and the filling is typically spiced. A popular combination is spinach, feta, cottage cheese, or pot cheese, and a splash of anise-flavored liquor, such as raki. Assyrian burek. Assyrian burek is usually stuffed with spiced ground beef, though potatoes are also sometimes used instead. The stuffing is wrapped in a sheet of dough and then fried in oil and resembles egg rolls. Bulgarian burek. The Bulgarian version of the pastry, locally called burek, Cyrillic, is typically regarded as a variation of banitsa, a similar Bulgarian dish. Bulgarian burek is a type of banitsa with cayenne cheese, the difference being that burek also has eggs added. In Bulgarian, the word burek has also come to be applied to other dishes similarly prepared with cheese and eggs, such as chushka burek, or peeled and roasted pepper filled with cheese, and tikvichka burek, blanched or uncooked bits of squash with eggs filling. Greek brookie, burekaki, bugatsa, and pita. In Greece and Cyprus, brookie, bureki, or burekaki, the diminutive form of the word, are small pastries made with phyllo dough or with pastry crust. Pastries in the burek family are also called pita, teropita, spanakopita, and so on. A special type of brookie is found in the local cuisine of Crete and especially in the area of Chania. It is a pie filled with sliced zucchini, sliced potatoes, mizithra or feta cheese and spearmint, and may be baked with or without a thick top crust of phyllo. In Venetian Corfu, brookie was also called briche, 14, and filled with meat and leafy greens. Galacto brocco is a syrupy phyllo pastry filled with custard, common throughout Greece and Cyprus. In the Epirus, derives from the Turkish seka börek, sugar börek, is a small rosewater-flavored marzipan sweet. The Pontian Greek pieroski, derives its name from burek too. Israel fresh potato burekas on sale at a stall in Rahan Yehuda Market, Jerusalem. In Israel, burekas, Hebrew, became popular as immigrants who settled the cuisine of their native countries. Burekas can be found made from either phyllo dough or puff pastry filled with various fillings. Among the most popular fillings are salty cheese, mashed potato, mushrooms, chickpeas, olives, spinach, eggplant and pizza flavor. Most burekas in Israel are made with margarine-based doughs rather than butter-based doughs, so that, at least the non-cheese-filled varieties, can be eaten along with either milk meals or meat meals in accordance with the kosher prohibition against mixing milk and meat at the same meal. Israeli burekas come in several shapes and are often sprinkled with seeds. The shapes and choice of seeds are usually indicative of their fillings and have become fairly standard among small bakeries and large factories alike. For example, salty cheese, Bulgarian cheese filled as well as tzfat cheese, from the city of Safed, with za'atar-filled burekas are usually somewhat flat triangles with white sesame seeds on top. Less salty cheese-filled are semicircular and usually made with puff pastry. Potato-filled are sesame-topped, flat squares or rectangles made with phyllo and tend to be less oily than most other versions. Mushroom-filled are bulging triangles with poppy seeds. Tuna-filled are bulging triangles with nigella seeds. Eggplant-filled are cylindrical with nigella seeds. Bean sprout-filled are cylindrical without seeds. Spinach-filled are either cylindrical with sesame seeds or made with a very delicate, oily phyllo dough shaped into round spirals. Burekas with a pizza sauce are often round spirals rising toward the middle or sometimes cylindrical without seeds, differentiated from the bean sprout-filled cylinders without seeds by the red sauce oozing out the ends. Burekas can also be found with mashed chickpeas, tuna and chickpea mix, pumpkin and even small cocktail frankfurters. Another variation filled with meat, beef, chicken or lamb, pine nuts, parsley and spices are eaten mainly as a main dish but sometimes as meze. The North African version, burek, can also be found in Israel. Burekas come in small, snack size, often available in self-service bakeries, and sizes as large as 4 or 5 inches. The larger ones can serve as a snack or a meal, and can be sliced open, and stuffed with hard-boiled egg, pickles, tomatoes and skug, a spicy Yemenite paste. Supermarkets stock a wide selection of frozen raw dough burekas ready for home baking. Bakeries and street vendors dealing exclusively in burekas can be found in most Israeli cities. Small coffee shop-type establishments as well as lottery and sports betting parlors serving burekas and coffee can also be found. Meat burekas are less common at bakeries and considered house meal. Clarification needed: the meat burekas are made from lamb, beef or chicken mixed with onion, parsley, coriander, or mint, pine nuts and spices and served as hot meze. In recent years, Israelis have become aware of the high fat, especially trans fat, content of burekas, leading many to question the dangers associated with their consumption. Burekas have given their name to burekas films, a peculiarly Israeli genre of comic melodramas or tragedies based on ethnic stereotypes. Italy. In certain Italian towns of Emilia-Romagna that were formerly city-states such as Ferrara and Modena, there can still be encountered a half-moon-shaped sweet pastry called börek or burek, which has been described as a medieval relic of the Ottoman-inspired cuisine of the Jewish communities that lived in certain towns of the area. There can be distinguished the börek ferraresi, to which grappa is being added and which are often filled with mandarin marmalade, 19, and which are sometimes called in Ferraris ladino burecitas. They resemble in shape and taste the Greek krabs, which are pate-brezi-like shortbreads that differ from their Middle Eastern counterparts by having also alcohol such as brandy or mastica added to them. Former Yugoslavia. Across the territories of former Yugoslavia, burek is regularly available at most bakeries, and usually eaten as fast food. It is often consumed with yogurt. Apart from being sold at bakeries, burek is served in specialized stores selling börek, or pitas, and yogurt exclusively. Burek zinica, Bosnian burek. In the former Yugoslavia, burek, also known as pita, is an extremely common dish, and the Bosnian variant is arguably the most regionally prominent. It may be eaten for any meal of the day. In Bosnia, among the local Muslims, or bosniaks, a specially prepared saman with egg yolk and seasonings, is a traditional bread for dinners during the fast in the month of Ramadan. In Bosnia and Herzegovina, the burek is a meat-filled pastry, traditionally rolled in a spiral and cut into sections for serving. The same spiral filled with cottage cheese is called srnica, with spinach and cheese zeljanica, with potatoes krompirusa, and all them are generically referred to as pita. Eggs are used as a binding agent when making srnica and zeljanica. This kind of pastry is also popular in Croatia, where it was imported by Bosnian Croats, and is usually called rollani burek, rolled burek. In Serbian towns, Bosnian pastry dishes were imported by war refugees in the 1990s, and are usually called Sarajevsk pite or Bosansk pite, Sarajevan pies or Bosnian pies. Similar dishes, although somewhat wider and with thinner dough layers, are called savajica or just pita in Serbia. These are usually homemade and not traditionally offered in bakeries. In 2012, Lonely Planet included the Bosnian burek in their The World's Best Street Food book. In Serbia, Macedonia, Croatia and Slovenia, burek is made from layers of dough, alternating with layers of other fillings in a circular baking pan and then topped with the last layer of dough. Traditionally it may be baked with no filling, prezan, with stewed minced meat and onions, or with cheese. Modern bakeries offer cheese and spinach, apple, sour cherries, potato, mushroom, and pizza burek as well. The recipe for round burek was developed in the Serbian town of Niš. In 1498, it was introduced by a famous Turkish baker, Memdogul from Istanbul. Eventually burek spread from the southeast, southern Serbia, Kosovo and Macedonia, to the rest of Yugoslavia. Niš hosts an annual burek competition and festival called Burekzijada. In 2005, a 100 kilograms, 220 pounds, burek was made, with a diameter of 2 meters, 6 feet, and it is considered to have been the world's biggest burek ever made. Serbian burek became popular in Croatia and in Slovenia in the second half of the 20th century. The first burek in Zagreb was made by bakers near Kolodva, the main railway station, after World War II. In Slovenia, burek is one of the most popular fast food dishes, but at least one researcher found that it is viewed negatively by Slovens due to their prejudices towards immigrants, especially those from the countries of former Yugoslavia. A publication of a diploma thesis on this at the Faculty of Social Sciences of the University of Ljubljana in 2010 stirred controversy regarding the appropriateness of the topic. The mentor of the student that had written the thesis described the topic as legitimate and burek as denoting primitive behavior in Slovenia in spite of it being a sophisticated food. He explained the controversy as a good example of the conclusions of the student. Actually, already in 2008, an employee of the Scientific Research Center of the Slovenian Academy of Sciences and Arts, SRC Saza, had attained his PhD degree with a thesis on meta-burek at the University of Nova Gorica. Burek, a national dish of the Crimean Tatars, is made from unleavened dough filled with ground lamb, onions and spices, fried in oil. It is a common street food in countries that were once part of the USSR. Burek is the Russian pronunciation of burek, which means delicious burek or borek. Moldova. The regional cuisine of the Moldavian West Bank of the Pruth still yields a type of dumpling-like food called burek, sometimes called bureshite, which is described as dough in the shape of ravioli-like square which is filled with mushrooms such as boltas ergilis, and sealed around its edges and then tossed and subsequently boiled in borscht-like soups korbas. They are traditionally eaten in the last day of fasting at the time of the Christmas Eve. It is not clear if the burek derive their name from the Turco-Greek borek, which is a distinct possibility given the fact that Ottoman Moldavia was ruled for many decades by dynasties of Greek Khan Aryates who encouraged Greek colonists to settle in the area, so at the receiving end of cultural and culinary influences coming from them, or it takes its name from that of the mushroom boltas, built in its Romanian language roticized version, and it meant mushroom as well as sponge, by the pattern of the ravioli, which were named after the Italian name of the turnip with which they were once filled. Tunisian and Algerian brick, pronounced brique, is a Tunisian and Algerian derivative of the börek, consisting of thin malsuka pastry around a filling commonly deep-fried. The best-known version is the egg brick, a whole egg in a triangular pastry pocket with chopped onion, tuna, harissa and parsley. Brick pastry, malsuka or waka, is made by slapping a sticky lump of dough onto a hot non-stick surface in overlapping circles to produce the desired size and cooked for a minute or two. Typical fillings include tuna, ground meat, chopped boiled egg, chicken, shrimp, or anchovies garnished with a fried egg and harissa, capers, or cheese. The Tunisian tradition is that the bride-to-be's mother makes a brick for the potential bridegroom. If the bridegroom eats it without spilling any of the egg yolk, he may marry the bride. Citation needed. The dough sheets themselves are also referred to as walsuka or waka.